a lot has been happening, and in that a lot, I lost my voice. I had a party on Saturday and I partied, I really partied. I think it's because it's been a very long ass time. I just, really had a good party and I let loose and I let my hair down. So it was a combination of, yay, finally a party. And it was a combination of, hey, Shade, you're having fun. So my voice kind of left me. And I really hope that I'm audible enough for everyone to hear me. I really hope that, I kind of have some level of consistency in how I'm being able to, in how you all are able to hear me. And if at any point you can't hear me, please know that I'm very sorry. And it has nothing to do with me being intentionally sexy and low. Okay? Lately, something has been coming to my mind, and I always have conversations like this with my partner, and it's more like, how when people piss you off and then they're like, is that why you're angry? I've noticed that a lot of times when we piss people off, we kind of dictate how they should react. We kind of dictate what the outcome of that pissing off should be like. It's bringing that TikTok song, it piss them off. But really, it's very irresponsible for you to piss people off and dictate their response, right? I mean, I know that we're all here trying to preach maturity. We're all here trying to preach responsibility. We're all here trying to preach be the bigger person. But as much as I want to be the bigger person, I want to also know that you are making an effort to be a bigger person from your own end, right? You say something to somebody and then the person has an outblown reaction, and the first thing you can say is, oh, is that why you're pissed? It doesn't always sit right with me. So this has nothing to do with my episode today. Actually, it's just something that it's something that I think about a lot, funny enough. It's something that has happened a lot. I've done it to people and people have done it to me. And I've seen what the flaw is. If you're going to piss people off, you need to let them boot. You need to let them interpret. You need to let them understand, to digest, to have a proper understanding of their emotions, right? It's happening a lot and it's quite crazy. I think I've got into that stage where I let people express how they actually feel. I mean, if I do something to you and I feel like, oh, you're good. I mean, I know you're going to have a reaction to it. I let you have that outblown reaction. If you want to be pissed at me, I'll let you be pissed at me. If you want to lash out at me, I'll let you do that, right? Let people express, let people react the way they want to actually react to certain things. I mean, I'm not here trying to condone any form of illegal behaviors or nasty ass behaviors. I mean, there's a decent level of reaction that you could give when you're pissed. That's been said, and that's been off my chest, my tiny chest, by the way. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about something that has been raving the internet. Something that, when I mean internet, I'm just referring to X right now, but yeah, it's still internet, right? Something that I'm kind of passionate about, and I think people need to understand it in a very, very in-depth, in a very, very intentional manner. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, so today, before I begin, my name is Shade. Explain why my voice is this weird before I started the episode. My name is Shade and you're welcome to the 2016 podcast. Today we're going to be looking at the leaders and killers with vision. If there's one thing I know is every single time we try to preach, have a vision, have a mission, but this vision, mission can either build a nation or break a nation. And I'm not looking at it in the concept of just being a nation. I'm looking at it in the concept of being a human being, being a circle of people, a group of people, a company, an organization, your marriage, your partnerships. It all boils down to what people see, what people decide to make their vision and mission. So much has gone on, so much has been going on actually online. And I think we need to get to that point where we actually ask ourselves, what do we really believe in? how much of an impact does your leader have in your life? And to what extent are you willing to go to pledge allegiance? Damn, I feel like that was a good rhyme, by the way. How much of an impact? How much of an impact? What are you willing to kill for your leader? Are you willing to destroy your family for your leader? Are you? I know there's this episode. Well, not just an episode, but if you've seen The Mentalist, then you've known about Brent Styles, I think. I've forgotten the name of his quote, but his quote is all about the isolation of a person from their family, right? So if you're going to be in his quote, I've forgotten the name of the quote, and I don't know why I've forgotten the name of the quote, but if you're going to be in his quote, you have to literally isolate yourself from your family. So you become a new man, a new person. And they were all willing to do anything for him. And in cases where people killed for him, lied for him, or did something bad for him, what his response would always be like, well, I didn't make them do it. But again, it goes to say, what kind of impact does your leader have on you? How much of an allegiance are you willing to swear to this person? You know, we're talking about politics, we're talking about religion, we're talking about the tiniest bit of influence. That Instagram influencer that we all that Instagram influencer that a lot of people look up to. That Instagram influencer that everybody wants to be like. What extent, where is that point you get to, and then you say, oh no, this person is dumb. I'm not doing this, or this ideology is dumb, is stupid, I'm not doing this. These are questions we need to ask ourselves. I'm a believer, so I'm going to come from the angle of church. I'm going to come from the angle of going to church, expressing my faith, not going to church, deviating from God. And I really hope that we learn a thing or two and we're able to share this with persons around us and have a great impact in general. You know, I have come to see a lot of things in my faith, and I understand that a lot is not what it seems. And why is that? I think a lot of times we do not read. We do not think. You know, we speak from a very strong space of emotional leaning and a lot of weak-mindedness. And this kind of just seems to present how we view things. And I think that is very much wrong. I think it's very much wrong. I know that I know I was on Twitter, I was on X over the weekend, and I know I've forgotten his name, but I know he was really close to Onyeka Onwenu, and he said, oh, how nasty of it that how much time the Nigerians spend on X. He wished that, you know, we would spend this time buying his books, reading his books, you know, making it really blown and all that. And then David, the journalist, said that Nigerians don't necessarily really like to read. And I think I've seen that pattern not just in any other Nigerian, but in myself too. You know, sometimes we want to pick up a book about something that's going to elevate your mind, that's going to enlighten you. And then you're like, You know, you have that grunchy, like, okay, why not I do this later? Why can't I just scroll through X and see what's popping? What's Whiskey doing? What's Kese? I'm not even going to say anything. I don't want to bring Whiskey, David, Burner into this episode because I don't have the emotional strength and the mental strength to handle any point outs from them. But it is something that we need to ponder on. Why don't we read? Why don't we want to be elevated? Why don't we want to have understanding? Why don't we want to be exposed to certain things? It really begs to ask, you know, it would rather just, nah, we can't keep on doing things like that. You know, when I was really young, church was my routine. So I know there was a time on X that was an argument where I don't care what somebody said, oh, are you going to be like your parents when it comes to church? And the guy was like, I don't care. Once it's 8 o'clock, I'm locking my house. Everybody should be in the car. We're going to church. But my point was, I kind of wanted to have an understanding as to why I'm going to church. Because growing up, church was my routine. So you know how you wake up in the morning, you brush, you eat, or you eat, then you brush, and then you bath, and then you do this, you do that. That was what church was for me. So I just knew that Sunday morning, talking about me while I'm making money. I'm sorry I had to put that in there, but it was just a routine for me. So I know that every Sunday morning I'm waking up, I'm going to have my bath, I'm going to brush, I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to go to church. And then I come back and they're going to play a little, oh, what did you learn today? What did you learn today? And then I'll just say, oh, this is what I learned, this is what I learned, this is what I learned. So that was just like my routine. It was not, I didn't know why I had to go to church. You know, my parents were going, and we're going to lock their house on Sunday, so I had to be in church. And there was just no reason behind that routine. It was just a thing of, I have been told to do so, therefore I must. You know, and the older I got, I kind of needed an explanation. I kind of needed to know why. It was more of, okay, why do I have to do this? And especially during my youth service, I did get really distant from church. I'm not even going to lie about that. Like, I literally had days where I wake up in the morning, I'll look at like, okay, I could wear this and wear this and wear this to church, but I literally would not put it on my body. I will not wear it at all. I won't wear it at all, you know, because it just felt more like a routine. And I had really got cold. I had gotten really cold. I wasn't in that environment where I'd have my mom say, I don't want you going to church. I wasn't in that environment where my siblings are getting ready, they're getting all dressed, and I'd had to be like looking at them and be like, oh, well, since they're getting dressed and going, I have to go. I wasn't in that phase, you know. I had gotten really cold, and at this stage I had turned to listening to YouTube videos. You know, I just pick a few videos of preacher men and women. I'll piece them together, and, you know, just trying to find my faith. I was trying to rebuild my faith. And trust me when I say this got worse. This got really, really worse. I found myself bringing men and women with real different ideologies together. So I was really filled with a religion. But I couldn't confidently speak about being a Christian. I couldn't confidently speak about being a believer. I didn't know how to tell you my experience of being a believer. I couldn't tell you that, oh, I have intimacy with Jesus, because I didn't have any background for it. And this is why I'm a little bit against just listening to any preacher man or preacher woman. If there's one thing I know, there is a way that my spirit moves. My spirit is more like, oh, I accept this person. And I do believe that my spirit is an extension of, you know, what the Holy Spirit is trying to tell me. So that's just how it's been for me. I just accept some spiritually, like my spirit man, and some I just don't accept. But at that point where I was trying to rebuild my faith, I was literally listening to everything and anything. And then, you know, if the thing about the spirit is, once in a while you just be like, this is not jiving. This is not jiving. And if there's one thing I've learned is, if it cannot be traced back to what your holy book has said, then there's a mismatch in it. So what did I do? I studied for myself. I got to a level, I had to study to get to a level of discernment. I had to be able to tell myself that, Shadi, this is not it. I had to be able to tell myself that, Shadi, this thing you're listening to right now, it doesn't make any form of sense. Trust me, it was the craziest thing. And I think that's where a lot of people are not yet at. You know, we're not yet on that level of discernment. I mean, you pick up, you're scrolling on X and you see a video and you're watching it, and then, you know, they're just talking A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we're not able to say, no, this is not it, or yes, this is it. You know, we haven't even got into that level. We are at that point where it's like garbage in, garbage in, garbage in, garbage in. So now I'm gonna move out from religion. It points to everything. It points to every single thing. A lady, a man, whatever comes up a line and feeds you why, you know, you should be a side chick or why you should not be a side chick. I'm not saying what is wrong or what is right. I'm saying we need to get to a point where we can critically think. If we don't get to that point of critical thinking, I'm very sorry, we're not ready to grow. I hear people, I listen to people and then they're talking about Nigeria this, Nigeria that, Nigeria this. And I'm like, as a nation, if we cannot critically analyze things, if we cannot look at ourselves eye to eye and say, I'm Yoruba, you're Igbo, you're Hausa, you're ethnic, you're Ibibio, but this is a bad move, not just for my tribe, but for the nation at large, that we're not ready to get there. We're very sentimental. I was listening to a radio show once, and the man was saying how the older generation is all about tribes. They're trying to make it tribalistic, but the younger people are more enlightened. I'm sorry, I wanted to fall off my seat because I'm like, the younger generation are still following what the older generation did. I know how many times you're trying to talk to. I'm Igbo, number one, and I know how many young Igbo people have done nasty shit to me. It's very crazy because we think we're living an era of tribalism, but we're not. I think we're going deeper into it. We're not critically thinking. We're not critically asking ourselves questions. I've seen people say things like, Lord Lugash, he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have done that, yada, 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 yada. Fine, he shouldn't have done things that he did. He shouldn't have brought about the amalgamation. But now we have been amalgamated. Now we've been put together. We've been made one. What can we do to move forward? I'm so dazed. I'm so bamboozled when I hear people say things like, we should just separate it. I'm like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? I'm lost. I'm here falling in love with Yorubas, falling in love with Hausas, falling in love with Ibibians, falling in love with Ethnics, falling in love with a lot of different tribes. And you're telling me that, the best way for us to do this is to just, scatter again. Make it make sense. And this is where I think we don't have discernment enough as a nation. We don't have discernment enough as a people. We don't have the ability to actually critically think. And then I just say to myself, come on. Like my partner would say, come on, girl. It's always very hilarious when he says it. Trust me, when he says it, maybe I'm going to have an episode with him and he's going to say it because he says it like really cool and very funny. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So this same thing goes with culture, with tradition, with politics, with everything. We have to learn to ask questions. We have to learn to ask the question, why? You can hear, I've heard so many crazy stories about a killing. I've heard stories of, there was a story I heard one time. I think a girl killed another friend, her female friend, with the help of her boyfriend. Why? Because the girlfriend told the boyfriend something that the female friend did, and the boyfriend was like, yeah. Never you message my babe. And then he killed, make it make sense. There's no form of verification. There's no form of discernment. There's no form of, if your girlfriend is going to be mad, you as the man should not be mad. If your boyfriend is going to be mad, you as the girlfriend should not be mad. There should be somebody that pulls you. If you don't have a pulling force in your life, then you're headed for destruction. And it's very crazy because people don't understand it. We don't know how to discern. We don't know how to ask questions. We don't know how to critically think. We don't know how to question a system properly and effectively. We're still playing the religious cards. Muslim, Christian, Muslim, Christian. We're still playing the religion card. We're playing the tribe card. What it's the fastest way to destroy a nation. It's the fastest way, in my opinion, it's the fastest way to destroy a nation. So we as humans, we need to ask ourselves, how good or bad can we get? And at what point do we sit and ask ourselves the what, the who, and the why, the how? At what point do we get to where we have to ask ourselves, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the outcome of what I'm doing? How am I going to elevate myself? How am I going to put myself in a space, in a position where I'm making things better? We're not thinking, we're not analyzing, we're not making analysis, we're not evaluating ourselves, we're not evaluating growth, we're not looking for growth. They tell you, just go and pray. Why do you have to pray? Because you have to get closer to God. But if you're praying out of the religiosity attached to it, then you're as good as the next person. I was telling, I was telling my friend that sorry, I'm trying to remember. I was telling him that we have to be able to learn to peak. We have to know what we're peaking. I was going to church because it felt like a routine. Now I'm going to church because I do want to get closer to God. There are amazing things that I could pick out from going to church. They're amazing. You could pick a husband, you could pick a car, you could pick a good job, you could pick some kind of, elevated kind of wisdom. There are a lot of things attached to what you do, and I think the moment we have a proper understanding of why we're doing what we're doing, we get to a better place. The moment we understand, why are we having this much division? I mean, up until, I don't know, I never really thought about anybody as anything. I just always thought, you're my fellow human. That's cool with me. I mean, I don't care if you're Yoruba. Did I say Yoruba? I don't care if you're Yoruba. I don't care if you're Igbo. I don't care if you're Hausa. I don't care what tribe you're from. I don't care if you're ethnic, if you're a Bibo, if you're a thief. I don't want to know what you are. I don't even want to know your state. I want to just relate with you as a human, because that is who you are first, a human. But the last 2 years, it has been a point of contact to know where. I'm not even going to lie. After the last election in Nigeria, I just used to ask myself, how does the fellow tribe see me? I'm an Igbo person. Do they hate me because I'm Igbo? Or do they genuinely do not like me because I'm an imperial person? I'm somebody you cannot stand. These are questions we had to start asking ourselves, and it's quite crazy that we've come together for plus years, a lot of years, and we're at 60, we're at 60 plus, and we're still asking ourselves, where are you from? Yeah, Yoruba. You are like, come off it. It makes no logical sense. And this is what I think happened. We did not ask questions. Your parent your father tells you, your mother tells you, you can't marry an Igbo girl. And then there's no reason as to why. And when you ask the why, the reason for the why is a dumb reason. My father married an Igbo. Come off it. We need to have logical reason. We need to have logical reasons behind the things that we do, behind the things that we decide to take as tradition, behind the things that we take as a decision that we're making for our nation, the decisions that we're making for our organizations, the decisions we're making for our marriages, the decisions we're making for our relationships. Every decision we're making should not be based off on emotional strength is good. Emotional intelligence is amazing, but if everything comes out from your emotion, there is a problem. In my opinion, there is a big problem. There's also a very big problem in blind followership. In my people, we don't do this. We don't do this. Come off it. We're not asking questions. We're not asking why. We're not asking how. We're not asking who. We're not asking what. You don't see the reason behind their mission, but somebody has said ABC, and this mostly follows with religion and politics. You don't know why this person has chosen to do this. You don't know why. It's bringing me back to religion, because your preacher man, your preacher woman says something that's not backed by the holy book that you read. I'm really worried when I hear cases of holy people, religious leaders sleeping with kids, sleeping with women for this, sleeping with men for this. I'm like, at what point in your Bible was this cool? At what point in your Quran was this cool? At what point in the books you read regarding religion was this cool? Was this a thing? We don't read. We don't go back to read. We don't go back to verify. We don't go back to say, where is this coming from? And that is why, if you don't see the reason behind the mission, it leads to all this intention, and you will be damned that hell raises for your inability to do something very big. Everybody's just going to be looking at you like, well, they're going to see you as a dumb person. They're going to see you as an intellectual handicap. Ooh. Damn, sometimes I just think, and I think I'm on fire tonight, though. I think I'm on fire today, by the way. So even as we round up here, I'm here and I'm asking myself, why this episode? I think this actually came up with this recent saga around Helen Opabio. I think I don't have anything to say about it, and this is not what the episode stemmed from, the gist from the news rather, but I don't have anything to say about the case as it is, because I don't have any interaction with it. I don't have any stories about it. I don't know anybody personally that it affected or she affected, but it goes in a two-way thing. If you're going to tell me that my child crying, my child hissing, my child pissing is a demonic attack and I should kill the child, and you're a religious person, I need to see in the Bible where it is assigned to me to do that. We don't ask questions, and it shows. It goes a long way in what we do, in how we talk. It really goes a very long way in the things we do, and I think we're getting to a point in the world where we are constantly surrounded by people that do not read, people that do not think. They're all waiting for Peter Obi to say something. I say, yes, that's what I was thinking. They're all waiting for David Houdini, I don't think that's the pronunciation, but to say something, and then, oh, that's what we're thinking. They're all waiting for their bosses at work to do something, and then, oh, that's what we're thinking. It makes no logical sense. I know we have to hold our leaders accountable, our religious leaders, our political leaders, whatever post they occupy, whatever post anybody occupies, as long as you're in a place of authority, you need to be held accountable. But at what point do we hold ourselves accountable? Now that's the second leg of this. If I'm going to say that my leader is so and so, and my leader tells me so and so, at what point do I hold myself accountable for the things I decide to do according to the dictates of my leader? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. It's more like saying, oh, I did something because somebody told me to do something. There was no form of research, there was no form of knowledge behind it, there was no form of backing behind it. So at what point do we decide to hold our ignorance accountable? At what point do I decide to tell myself that, Shade, because you heard this in church, if it does not have a scriptural backing, you can't do it? Because you heard this at a party, because you heard this from a knowledgeable person, if there's no backing to it, you can't do it. So we have to also, while we're holding our leaders accountable, we also have to hold ourselves accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable for every form of ignorance you display. You have to hold yourself accountable for your own level of ignorance, despite the vast knowledge that has been made available to man. I always tell everybody my best friend is Google. I know that it might be crazy, but I know that I can always verify. My best friend is Google. Aside that, I also have human interactions. I read something on Google about maybe medicine, about science. I ask somebody in that field, explain this to me. I'm not going to talk like I've read it online. I'm going to talk like I want to know what you have to say. And then I'm going to match it. I'm going to find where the mismatch is, or if there's no mismatch, then I know, okay, then this is a good to go thing. We have to learn to learn. We have to learn to think. We have to learn to talk with a level of wisdom of what we know. There is so much knowledge in the world right now that ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance can never be an excuse. It really can never be an excuse. This is to everybody out there, to leaders, to religious leaders, to religious bodies, to political leaders, to political bodies, to organizational leaders, organizational bodies. We have to take responsibility, and this is to all my individual listeners. You have to learn to also take responsibility. So if somebody comes out today and says to you, oh, this girl did this to me, I want to get her killed, and you go ahead to kill her, you need to take responsibility for your own ignorance. We need to get to that point where we're no longer pointing fingers. We're no longer, we're not trying to blame God that, oh, because there's too much problem in Nigeria, yada, 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 yada. We're not trying to blame our parents. We're not trying to blame we're not trying to blame our parents. We have to blame our leaders to a very large extent, though. We're not trying to blame our parents. I'm so sorry. We're not always just trying to push blames. I was telling somebody something. I think this recent flood that happened, everybody came out to blame the government, the government, the government. I'm 100% on that too. The government, the government, the government. But have you seen the average Nigerian eat? I was walking on the road one time, and there was this. They were in their car, their private vehicle. They finished eating, I think, gala, and they took a drink with them. They wound down, and then they threw it on the road. You have your private vehicle. Even in the buses, people eat things, and then they throw it out the window. So we all contributed to the flood that we see. So I'm not insensitive to what people feel. I'm not careless to understanding how people feel. But a very large portion of the things that we cannot blame the government for, we do it. The vandalism, is that how to pronounce it? The vandalization of things are not really done by the government, they're done by the people. And then somebody comes to tell me, the government bribed them. Now that's why I have to say, you have to take responsibility for your own level of ignorance. If they're going to pay you 10k to vote for them, and then they come out later and F you up politically by not giving a shit about you, you can't come and complain to me. You have to take the level of responsibility of your own level of ignorance. But you're not doing that. You can't collect 10k today to vote for somebody, and then you're trying to come and complain to me that you're poor, or you're living in penury, or that you've been unable to pay your child's school fees. Hello? Do I know you? Do you know me? Who are we, friends? I didn't know you. That's the logical reasoning behind that. Okay, so I think this is getting really, really, really deep, emotional for me. This is getting really personal for me. So I'm just going to end with this. In writing history, man became the author. So many of us are going to be damned to believe in every history we see. There are so many things that we've seen today that we've come to understand that, this was not a correct interpretation. Again, learn. Keep learning. Keep talking to people. There are these few accounts I follow on TikTok about Nigerian history, and I'm not going to lie. I think Nigeria has a very beautiful history about the people. When it comes to the people that fought for us, when it comes to the people that stood for us, many of them might be myth. Many of them might be, just to create a level of gang around history. But I do think that when we see things like this, it gives me a sense of pride. I'm not even going to lie. When I watch these videos, it gives me a very large sense of pride to being a Nigerian. But it's quite sad where we have gone to. It's quite sad. It's quite sad to see where we're coming from and where we're headed right now, or where we are at right now. Again, we have to take responsibility for it. For every single time that we decided not to vote and say, my vote will not count, we have to take responsibility for it. For every single time that they took 10,000 naira to vote, they took 5,000 naira to vote, they took a bag of rice to vote, we have to take responsibility for it. For every single time that they told you that your Igbo brother is your enemy and you decided to harm your Igbo brother to get their vote, you have to take responsibility for that level of ignorance also. I really want to say, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that we have leaders and killers with vision. We have people that will move us forward with a vision, and we have people that will kill us with a vision. But how do you draw that line? You have to go out and do your own work. If you're not bringing in your A game, and you are dependent on someone else's A game, you're as good as a failure. You're as good as failed already, because it's not gonna make a sense. It's not gonna make any sense. All right. We've actually come to the end of today's episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I think this is the first time I'm doing something like this. And I'm doing this because I think we need to, we as a nation, we as a people, we need to rebrand ourselves. You know how they say, coming soon, we are rebranding. Yeah, we need to rebrand ourselves. We need to educate ourselves. We need to learn. We need to understand that the next tribe is not your problem. The next tribe is not your curse. All right, we need to learn to put in the work And as we have come to the end of today's episode, I hope you enjoyed it. Please share with your friends, your families, your frenemies, and to all my brothers and sisters with multiple lovers, please share with them too. And to all of you doing extramarital affairs, please share with your side chicks too, or your side guys too. Share with your colleagues, your lovers. And let me just use this opportunity to say that if you really like somebody, I think you should tell them today. I'm not coming from the point of, oh, you don't know what tomorrow holds. I'm coming from the point of, I think love is really beautiful, and I think we should all share it. Minus married people, because you're married. But except your wife is cool with having a second babe, though. You know, your husband is cool with having a second man, then that's cool with me. Do whatever works. I mean, like polygamy, right? That's what they call it. I don't know, the one you marry more than one person. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. I love you all so very much. I'm wishing you long life, peace, and prosperity, and I do pray that the Lord God grants every one of us longevity. Bye, my lovers.